How do you apply for a director identification number? Applying for a director identification number is an easy process, and we're going to show you how. So how do you apply for your director identification number? Very simple process. You need to apply for your own director identification number. Nobody can do it for you. You must do it yourself. And the fastest way to do that is using the Mygov Id app. So if you have your Mygov Id already set up, you've already gone through that identification process. If you haven't, it's a very straightforward process. So the first thing is to download the app and set up your Mygov Id. Okay, set it up. You need to have a standard or strong identity strength before you'll be able to apply for the director ID online. Now, if you live outside Australia and you can't get a Mygov Id with a standard or strong identity strength, then you'll need to apply using a paper form. Still, we have them, and provide certified copies of your identity documents. So that's a different process. But we're just going to look at the Mygov Id process for applying. Remember that the Mygov Id is separate to your MyGov account. The Mygov Id is an app, and you can download the Mygov Id onto your smartphone or the smart device, and it lets you prove who you are and log into a range of government online services, including Mygov, the ATO, and the Australian Business Services Register. So MyGov is an account though, and that lets you link your online services like the ATO, Centrelink, Medicare, etc. So the second step is to get all your documents together. Now, one of the criteria is that you must have your tax file number. You must have your current residential address that's held with the ATO. So if you've moved and you haven't updated the ATO, you need to update your address with the ATO before you can go through this process. And you also need two other forms of documents to verify your identity, and they're fairly standard document identifications: bank accounts, ATO notice of assessment, super accounts, dividends, passports, driver's licenses, those sorts of things. Typical documents and proof of identity forms that we're very familiar with these days, but you'll need at least two of those to verify your identity. Once you have verified your identity and you've got a standard or strong identity strength, you can then log in to the abrs.gov.au website and apply for your director ID. And now this process will take less than 5 minutes. Yes, less than 5 minutes. If you've already gone through and verified your identity, then the process is going to take less than 5 minutes. So you log on to the website, follow the prompts. Okay, the first step is to apply. You're adding a little bit of extra information about your address, confirming your postal address, and at the end of the application, you'll be presented with your director identification number. And you should print that out and save a copy, and then that will be on file. And then that will also be available in future through your Mygov Id app. So once you've got that director identification number, well, you need to notify the companies that you're a director of. You need to notify whoever's managing the company registers. So that could be the accountant or the company secretary, or you might be handling that yourself. But you need to update your company registers to include that notification. And then in the course of the next year, ASIC is going to be matching those director identification IDs with their records, and they'll be contacting you if there's any discrepancies between names and addresses and director identifications. And they'll be asking you to update those details.